welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're looking at the best games within Nintendo-owned IPs that were not developed internally by the company.
Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Pokemon HeartGold and SoulSilver. One of the biggest franchises on Nintendo platforms is the Pokemon series, and as most of you probably know, not a single entry was developed by Nintendo. The quality of Game Freak's work on the series has been questionable in recent years, but we believe HeartGold and SoulSilver to be the sweet spot. The second generation of games is often considered to be the peak, and these DS remakes are the definitive versions. The enhanced visuals really pop, online connectivity made battling and trading easier, and there was just the right amount of new Pokemon to entice players rather than overwhelm them. Luigi's Mansion 3. While the original Luigi's Mansion was developed internally, its sequels were handled by Canadian studio Next Level Games. And of the two, Luigi's Mansion 3 is definitely the stronger. It follows Luigi and co. after they're invited to what seems to be a fancy hotel, only to find out it's a trap filled with ghosts. Sucking up specters with a vacuum cleaner just never gets old, especially since the themes of each floor grow increasingly more imaginative. Playing solo is pretty fun, but having a second player via Gooigi makes for great couch co-op in addition to the multiplayer modes. It's no wonder then that, given the chance, Nintendo purchased the studio in 2021. Kirby Superstar Ultra. Yes, it's another DS remake, but we stand by the fact that Superstar Ultra is genuinely a wonderful Kirby game. While Nintendo has developed a couple games within the series, the majority of them were handled by HAL Laboratory, a studio we'll talk about a few times. This remake of the Super Nintendo original was released for Kirby's 15th anniversary, and features multiple smaller campaigns to play through. In addition to the original ones, 4 new modes were added here. Some take more effort than others, but they're all a blast thanks to the mechanics being perfectly translated to a handheld format. And it looks wonderful to boot. Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest. In addition to Nintendo, the Donkey Kong series has had a handful of other developers. However, what many players consider to be the franchise's golden age came in the 90s with Rare. While the first DKC game is an incredible platformer, the sequel is just a little better in every way. The visuals are a bit crisper, the level design a bit more expansive and varied, and the inclusion of the hovering Dixie Kong added some variety as well as ease for making it through tricky environments. While we did consider talking about Retro's work on the series, don't worry, we'll get to them later, Diddy's Kong Quest is just too perfect. Earthbound. It seems every year the cult of Earthbound grows a little bit larger, and for good reason. The groundbreaking RPG may not have performed too hot on release, but it has influenced an untold number of games since then. From its goofy humor to its modern setting to the way it altered traditional turn-based battle mechanics, Earthbound brought a lot of new features to the genre. The tale of Ness and his companions has been kept alive for years through love from fans and Super Smash Bros. Appearances. Despite its status as an underrated Nintendo gem, it was actually co-developed by Creatures Incorporated, formerly known as Ape Incorporated, and HAL Laboratory. Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Hey, do you know how old Captain Gerald is?
That's enough, Leone. If I don't know, how could my child know?
It's not normal to forget your own age, you know.
Fire Emblem may be another huge RPG series Nintendo has under its belt, but like Pokemon, none of those games have been developed by the company. Intelligent Systems have been the crafters of Fire Emblem since the beginning, but still aren't even owned by Nintendo. Regardless, Three Houses saw the team firing on all cylinders.
If you had never met me and entered my service, you might have had a more peaceful...
A more tedious path. Inconsequential and spoiled rotten, like so many other nobles.
It follows a mercenary-turned-professor teaching students from 3 rival nations during a time of peace, until things take a turn for the worse. With different houses to side with and wildly different NPCs to recruit, there's a lot of content to dive into here. The narrative threads are deep, and the big-scale battles are momentous. Metroid Prime. Up until Prime, Nintendo had handled Metroid's development with some help from Intelligent Systems. But for Samus's first venture into 3D, it handed the keys to Retro Studios. We're bending the rules a bit on what constitutes not made by Nintendo. The studio was founded by former Iguana Entertainment head Jeff Spangenberg, with help from Nintendo to make GameCube titles. However, it was Retro's own engine built for a different game that inspired Nintendo to suggest they take on Metroid. Despite a fairly troubled development period, Prime would become one of the most beloved entries in the franchise, and Nintendo would outright purchase the studio just a few months before release. Super Mario RPG: Legend of the Seven Stars. You probably all knew this was coming. Developed by Square before the Enix merger, Super Mario RPG took the wondrous world of Nintendo's mascot and blended it perfectly with Final Fantasy-esque mechanics. The game overflows with charm, from its silly NPCs and dialogue to its toe-tapping soundtrack. Plus, it introduced teammates Geno and Mallow, characters so fantastic that fans still declare their love for them today, despite them only appearing here. While it got a pretty stellar remake in 2023, it also helped pave the way for future Mario RPGs from other studios, such as Intelligent Systems' Paper Mario series and Alpha Dreams' Mario and Luigi series. The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap. Zelda is one of the franchises Nintendo is most guarded about, but that doesn't mean it hasn't let other studios develop for it. In addition to handling the Oracle games on the Game Boy Color, Flagship co-developed the Minish Cap with Capcom. And it is hands down one of the best 2D releases in the series. The Wind Waker art style looks wonderful in 32 bits, and the game offered unique lore and an engaging villain that surprisingly wasn't Ganon. Eslo remains one of our personal favorite companions Link has ever teamed up with, and the concept of shrinking down for new areas is as magical as anything else Zelda offers. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Although it's a giant love letter to all things Nintendo, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was co-developed by two different external studios. While the first two games were made by HAL, development switched to Sora Ltd. When series creator Masahiro Sakurai left the company to form his own studio. Sakurai worked with Bandai Namco for Ultimate, which brought together every single fighter ever featured in Smash, as well as a ton of new ones. It wasn't quantity over quality either. The game is an absolute blast to play, and there's a ton of variety in fighter movesets, items, modes, and levels. Ultimate is truly a remarkable feat, and we probably won't see something as grand in scope for a long time. What's your favorite Nintendo game that was developed by a different studio? Share your thoughts in the comments, and be sure to subscribe for more great Nintendo videos.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, there's more where that came from.